After working for a company for 45 years, I was suddenly fired. I never thought that incident would be the reason I'd be fired. Then, I heard voices from behind. I felt sick working under you. This will increase my bonus. These two were supposed to be my coworkers. If that's how it is, it can't be helped. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. I'm a younger boss than Denise, and I used to work under Kathy, and I said goodbye to them with a big smile. These women plan to cut me off and live comfortably at the company. Will they really be able to work peacefully from now on? Savor this moment of joy, for you too will taste hell later. Leaving behind just a few things, I bid farewell to the company where I spent 45 years. My name is Hillary Morgan, and I'm 63 years old. I was just 2 years away from reaching the mandatory retirement age. The company had a work extension system, and I was planning to continue working after retirement. However, I had not realized until recently that someone close by disapproved of this. The company I worked for is an office supplies mail order business that does not own its stores but operates nationwide by outsourcing sales and delivery to existing retail stores. We handle a wide range of products, from stationery and office furniture to daily necessities. We sell directly wholesale items from manufacturers, which means fewer distribution stages than regular retail products, allowing us to offer high-quality goods at low prices, making us popular. I started as a part-time warehouse worker while attending college, sorting and checking inventory of products wholesale from manufacturers. Impressed by the company's unique business model, I joined as a full-time employee after graduation. The then HR manager appreciated my enthusiasm and tasked me with conveying it to our customers by placing me in the sales department. The sales department's work includes not only expanding new sales outlets but also supporting contracted stores, an important task. I enjoyed refining our services while listening to the direct feedback from stores, adapting our business to the times, and found fulfillment in this, foregoing marriage and promotions to stay on the ground. I was approached several times for promotions to section manager or department manager, but I declined because I did not want to lose touch with the field and continued my sales rounds. I really enjoyed being out in the field and felt so happy, thinking I could stay at this job forever with the same level of excitement. That was until a year ago. The nightmare started last year when Kathy, transferred from the admin department, joined my team. The admin department had hinted she might be a bit tricky to handle. And Denise, the sales department manager, said to me, "She's inexperienced in sales, so you'll have to train her." The reason Kathy was said to be tricky soon became apparent. Her work attitude was poor, always on her smartphone. She would assign her tasks to newbies, pretending as if she had done them herself. But, having her as my charge must be some twist of fate. I thought I had to train her bit by bit. When I pointed this out, her response was unbelievable. "Huh? Isn't work something you do as a team? It's also an important role for bosses to delegate tasks, right? Doing everything yourself is inefficient, and it doesn't help the other workers grow. You know, delegating work and dumping it on others are completely different things. These girls have their own tasks, properly assigned by their superiors, and the tasks you are responsible for are the ones assigned to you. Plus, you came to report that I did it." When I refuted her, Kathy suddenly got emotional and started crying. Everyone around us started to whisper and murmur what was going on. I was appalled. Kathy was already 32 and had been working at the company for 10 years. It's amazing she's been able to stay with such a work attitude. Was she just a burden passed on from the admin department? Then, Denise, the department manager, came and took Kathy's side. "Ms. Morgan, Stop bullying her, she's new here. I'm not bullying her. I was just pointing out that she was trying to dump her work on others and take the credit for it. That's bullying. That's how you quickly make people out to be villains. You don't know how to accept others. Praise and nurture, that's the motto of our company and this sales department. We don't need people who disrupt that. In fact, Denise has had a negative view of me since she joined the company. I was in charge of training when she was a new graduate. Since then, she's always been confrontational, and I've found her difficult. Although she didn't work as dismissively as Kathy, she was stoic in her job and was promoted to department manager. However, the pressure on me from her has always been strong, continuing to this day. She stopped being polite with me the moment she became a manager, always nitpicking everything I did. Once, colleagues mentioned that Denise thought I was cheating because I could acquire customers without apparent effort. I believe I work harder than anyone, but effort isn't something to be compared with others. While I always avoided quota competitions with a smile, I understood that she simply didn't like me. For months, Denise and I had this unreasonable exchange over Kathy. I realized it was futile to resist, and by the time Kathy had been with us for 6 months, I no longer thought of nurturing her and just dodged her nonsense. As a year passed and my retirement neared, I seriously started to consider using the work extension system to inform the company of my intention to stay. That's when Denise started to transfer all my clients to Kathy. Ms. Morgan, you're nearing retirement, right? I think it's time to start transitioning customers to Ms. Brown. It's not good to wait until the last minute. If you transition early, you can handle any issues while still employed. Indeed, transitioning early is a good thing, and I agreed. I intend to use the work extension system to stay at the company a bit longer, so I'd like to continue dealing with my valued customers. When I told Denise that I wanted to continue handling customer sales, she became furious. You know, everyone just refrains from saying it because you're the oldest here, but honestly, we all want you to retire already. The times are changing rapidly, and when you stick to the old ways of having long chats with clients, it disrupts our work. Everyone just turns a blind eye because you're older. I was shocked by her words. I wanted to deny it, but a part of me feared it might be true, so I reluctantly decided to transfer all my clients to Kathy as Denise suggested. I wished to entrust them to another capable employee, but everyone else was already overwhelmed with their own clients, and Kathy was the only one available, so I had no choice but to rely on her. Our company conducts monthly follow-up meetings with client stores to check on their performance. I decided to start by visiting them to announce the change of handler. I was making appointments for these introductory meetings and confirming Kathy's schedule, but then an unbelievable situation arose. Old lady. I mean, Ms. Morgan, am I supposed to go to the meeting today? I've got a nail appointment in the evening and was hoping to leave early. I couldn't believe my ears. Setting aside the fact that she almost called me an old lady, I had never heard of someone leaving work early for a nail appointment. If she had applied for early leave in advance, it would be her own time after work, but leaving early without prior notice for that reason was unheard of. It's not so simple to just leave early. You haven't submitted a request for early leave, so I can't approve it. If I had known you needed to leave early, I could have adjusted the schedule. Moreover, the clients we are visiting today are going to be your responsibility. You should at least make a proper introduction to them. But, when I was making coffee in the break room earlier, my nails chipped. I couldn't have known that would happen beforehand. I can't go out in front of people with my nails like this. Don't worry about your nails. The client we're visiting today isn't concerned with such minor details. Trust is what's most important. You've been scheduled to meet them because you're taking over, so please cancel your nail appointment. Suddenly, Kathy started to make a scene loudly. That's terrible. You're saying my nails don't matter, Ms. Morgan? What you're saying is that nobody even looks at my nails, right? What if my nail breaks and gets all infected, needing medical attention? Would that qualify for workers' compensation? Stunned by Kathy's twisted interpretation, I couldn't remain silent. What are you talking about? You're not understanding anything I'm saying. I'm not criticizing your nails. I'm saying you should prioritize building trust with our clients. Denise intervened from behind a sulking Kathy. Let her go to her nail appointment, especially now with everyone discussing changes in how we work. Maybe you wouldn't understand, but nowadays, nails are part of one's appearance. Why don't you try to look a bit younger, like Kathy? It was less mediation and more like I was being blamed to end the discussion forcibly. In the end, I went to meet with the client alone. Since I had told them beforehand that I would be introducing a new person, I had to call in advance to apologize. Having a long-standing relationship with the client, they kindly said. It's all right since we have plenty to catch up on. That client was originally a hardware store and they continue to sell tools, metal parts, and kitchen equipment and provide minor repairs and remodeling for businesses. When I first approached them 20 years ago for a new partnership, our collaboration expanded their business, turning them into a shop that also supplies stationery and office goods to corporate clients. Now, they own a small building with a hardware store on the first floor and operate as a corporation catering to office needs. Hello, Mr. Thompson. Thank you for your encouraging words on the phone earlier. I took your advice and came to visit. Oh. Hillary. Don't worry about it. You must be busy on your end too, so it's okay if your partner couldn't make it suddenly. Feeling guilty about the real situation, I appreciated Mr. Thompson's kindness. He is a traditional craftsman with a tough attitude toward work but is compassionate and kind-hearted. When I first visited his shop 20 years ago, he bluntly told me, "If you're not here for business, please leave." While he continued to care for his tools, paying me no attention. Starting a casual conversation over coffee I had brought uninvited was what eventually broke the ice with Mr. Thompson. I liked your insensitivity back then, Hillary. Was that the kind of attention only a mature woman can give? No, it's something others can't do, regardless of age. You've got guts. Mr. Thompson always praises me like this. While enjoying a pleasant chat with him. Hello. I'm Kathy from Easy Flow Company. Somehow Kathy, who was supposed to be at her nail appointment, showed up at Mr. Thompson's shop. Ms. Brown, I thought you weren't coming today. Well, the manager said I should come. Despite Denise's sarcastic remarks earlier defending Kathy, I felt really uncomfortable by her sudden change of heart. Ms. Morgan told me that it would be rude to the client to show up with dirty nails, so I should either get them fixed right away or not show my face today. But the manager said client trust is most important, so I rushed over. What? That's the opposite of what happened. I immediately raised my voice in protest. What's going on here? That's not the story I heard, Hillary. Mr. Thompson, who hates it when people lie, was trembling. I had misled him on the phone earlier by saying, Ms. Brown couldn't make it due to official reasons. Mr. Thompson. I apologize. Due to my incompetence, I've caused such disrespect, and I truly apologize. I simply apologized profusely. No, what I mean by the story is different is that I was told an expert employee would be taking over, not some inexperienced newbie. What's going on? Unable to respond, Mr. Thompson then said. Just go back for today. and sent us away. As soon as we returned to the office, Denise furiously confronted me. "Why didn't you bring Kathy to the client meeting? It's about trust, isn't it? But didn't you say to let Kathy go do her nails?" I argued back, bewildered by her nonsensical words. "I didn't say today. What kind of boss allows their employees to skip meetings for personal errands? You're fired. Don't bother coming in tomorrow. You've gotten too old to make sound judgments. Are you going deaf? Know your place. It seems I've been completely set up." Indeed, Denise never said it was okay to skip the meeting. To think I would be tripped up by something like this. I've decided to accept the dismissal. As I dejectedly pack up to leave, Denise and Kathy hurl abuse at me. "I felt sick working under you. This will increase my bonus." So, they weren't really my coworkers, even though I saw them that way. Both of them wanted to drag me down. If that's how it is, it can't be helped. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. I left the company with a broad smile, making sure not to show any tears. Even though I say this, instead of merely extending my employment, I ended up leaving the company before reaching my retirement age, and I couldn't accept this reality. Perhaps, as Denise said, I was not performing as well as I thought due to my age. Feeling deeply depressed, I passed by Mr. Thompson's shop on my way home. If the shop had been open, I would have stopped by to apologize for today and to report that I had suddenly been made to retire. The shutter of the hardware store on the first floor was closed, but the lights were on in the office upstairs. Should I bother him on the second floor? Starting tomorrow, I'll be stuck inside the company preparing for retirement. Seeing that the sweet shop next door was still open, I decided to buy a small gift and visit Mr. Thompson's office. "Good evening. I'm sorry for intruding all the way up here. I just wanted to apologize for today." When I hesitantly visited, Mr. Thompson welcomed me with his usual kind smile. "What are you being so formal for? We're good friends, aren't we? You're always welcome here." As Mr. Thompson started to boil some water and invited me to sit on the guest sofa, I felt sad thinking our relationship might also end soon. Above all, I worried whether Kathy would be rude to Mr. Thompson in future dealings or if she could competently handle business consultations. "What's wrong?" As I remained solemnly silent, Mr. Thompson showed concern. I handed him the gift and explained the situation. Mr. Thompson was outraged to learn I had been fired and declared he would call the company right then, but I desperately tried to stop him. "It's okay, Mr. Thompson. I'm nearing retirement anyway, and I was thinking it was about time to step down. That's not like you. You always said you'd keep working until you're 100. Indeed, I had planned to keep working as long as I could. That it had become just a pipe dream was beyond my belief." As Mr. Thompson tried to make the call again, I forcefully held him back. "Mr. Thompson, it's fine. I'm not happy to leave things this way. I have a plan, so let's not act just yet. If you say so, I'll hold off for now." Saying I had a plan was actually a bluff to stop Mr. Thompson, but voicing it sparked a resolve to make it happen. I thanked Mr. Thompson and went home to think about the future. Then I came up with an idea. The next day, I submitted my resignation to Denise and made calls to greet the clients I was leaving behind. Contacting over 50 clients was not easy, and each call turned into a long conversation, making me realize the strong relationships I had built. Denise tried to interrupt this process. "You're on the phone too long. Just tell them the handler is changing, and that's it. Considering the trust one have with our clients, it can't be reduced to just a few words. They've been very supportive, and I can't just cut them off. Are you planning to sever the contracts too?" When I retorted, Denise clicked her tongue and walked away. It took 3 days to finish greeting all the clients, and clearing up my desk didn't take long. All that was left was to say goodbye to the department and leave the company. After all, it was a company I had served for 45 years. I made sure to greet the president and the executive director before leaving. First, I greeted the executive director. I had arranged to meet him the day before, so he was anxiously awaiting what I had to say. When I explained the situation, the executive director was incredulous. "Morgan, where did you submit your resignation? Has it already been processed?" I handed it to Denise. "I believe it has already been accepted." "No, your retirement is unacceptable." "Has the president been informed?" I said I was about to greet the president next, and the executive director decided to explain the situation to him with me, so we both headed to the president's office. After hearing from the executive director, the president became visibly angry and shouted, "Are you really serious about retiring?" "Yes. I'm getting on in years, and staying any longer would only be a burden. It seems I can't keep up with the times either." "The times? Why are you being so pessimistic now when you're usually full of new ideas?" The current president was the former HR manager who had pushed for my placement in sales. So, it was clear he would oppose my retirement, but my decision to resign was firm because I had a plan. I may be leaving the company, but I have a proposal that could still contribute to the company's future. After I shared my plan with the president and the executive director, they agreed to let me go. A week after my departure, the sales department's phone was ringing off the hook as clients began canceling their contracts one after another. Who's responsible for this mess? A flustered Denise paled as she dealt with the situation, and when she learned that the cancellations were coming from my former clients, she furiously yelled, "Hillary!" This was later relayed to me by a junior colleague in the sales department. Of course, Denise contacts me. "Hillary, what did you do to our people?" "You mean our clients?" "Well, one's true nature tends to reveal itself, so please be careful. Denise seems to think I've incited our former clients to cancel their contracts. She's not entirely wrong. When I called the clients to say goodbye, I mentioned, I've sent over the handover documents, so please read them when they arrive. These documents were actually proposals for a different service. Hillary, come to the office right now and make all the clients withdraw their cancellations. If you don't, I'll sue you. I wouldn't ask to reverse their cancellations. It's the client's decision, and since I'm retired now, it doesn't involve me. But I happen to have a business meeting scheduled at your company shortly, so please, join that meeting." A business meeting? Ignoring her bewildered silence on the other end of the phone, I hung up and headed to my former workplace, Easy Flow Company. Ah, there she is. "Hillary." "Oops, my mistake, I mean the managing director." At the president's office of Easy Flow, Frank Thompson, who had arrived earlier, greeted me. He referred to me as the managing director, which was my new title. Soon after, Frank's son, James Thompson, who had incorporated the hardware store into Thompson Corporation, arrived. Present from Easy Flow were the president, the executive director, and Denise. "I am James Thompson, president of Thompson Corporation. This is my father, Frank Thompson, president of our subsidiary hardware store, Thompson Hardware. And this lady, as you might know, was headhunted and joined us yesterday as the managing director, Hillary Morgan." James introduced us to the executives of Easy Flow. The discussion proceeded smoothly since the president and the executive director were already informed during my resignation. Denise remained silent, unable to grasp the situation, so I decided to explain it to her. After my resignation was decided, I thought a lot about the inconvenience to our client stores due to the sudden change in their contact person. I remembered discussions from a few years ago about a potential deal with Thomson Corporation, and I thought, if not now, when? Following my explanation, James Thomson continued to clarify the situation. In addition to Easy Flow, we've teamed up with another mail order company that doesn't produce its own items but has a huge selection from major manufacturers. Some customers are particular about manufacturers, so we deal with both Easy Flow and this other company to meet their needs. We had previously proposed to Hillary to use our integrated order site that combines Easy Flow's online store and the other mail order site to streamline orders, making it easier to purchase from both companies. The president of Easy Flow added, "Hillary mentioned this concept half a decade back, and we've been looking into its market potential through analyses. But the implementation was delayed because we hadn't figured out how to manage the increased customer base. Since I'm retired now and have some free time, I've decided to work with Thomson Corporation's staff and help launch this project at Easy Flow. I informed my clients about this in advance, which is why I asked them to temporarily end our current contracts." Kathy, obviously, couldn't handle this. Listening to our explanation, Denise trembled with rage but couldn't display her usual arrogance in front of the president and the executive director, glaring at me in frustration. Well, that wraps up the meeting between my son and Hillary. Now, on to my matter. Mr. President, please take a look at this. Frank handed several documents to the president of Easy Flow, who turned pale as he read them and showed them to the executive director. Kathy brought these to my store after Hillary retired. She asked us to order items from this list using our account. She said if the purchase volume is high, we could reduce the margin we pay to Easy Flow. She mentioned a trick where if we cancel the orders after 10 days, we could reduce the margins without any changes to our inventory. But wouldn't that mean unnecessary products are delivered to your store, only to be returned later? Indeed, most would think so, but their scheme was more nefarious. They planned to place orders using bank transfer payment methods and not deposit the money, preventing the shipment from occurring. I, too, was surprised when I heard this story from Mr. Thomson. You were using tricky methods to make the accounts appear better than they actually were. The room fell silent at the president's outburst, and Denise's shoulders shook with fear. So that's what you meant by this will increase my bonus. I couldn't understand how my resignation alone would increase your bonus. My clients were simply transferred to Kathy, which wouldn't necessarily increase sales. I never expected you were secretly planning to boost numbers by getting retailers to make pretend purchases. Denise, looking pale, scrambled for an excuse. That's all Kathy's fault. I just found out about it. I had no idea. What a terrible team member I have. Kathy should be properly disciplined. Denise, do you think we're fools? Ever since you became manager, there's been a difference between the sales reported by the sales department and the actual revenue entering the company's accounts. There's often a lag due to the timing of payments from retailers, so it took us a while to notice. But around the financial closing, the difference was significant, prompting a secret investigation. The executive director laid out evidence of falsified accounts gathered by HR on the table. Sir, I apologize for the delayed report. This documentation is still under investigation and not strong enough to present as evidence, which is why I held on to it. The method was unclear, so the investigation was difficult, but thanks to Mr. Thomson, we now have everything we need. It was surprising that the executive director had also been moving on this. Being a key figure along with the president in steering the company, it made sense that internal evidence was hard to come by. For a nationwide company like Easy Flow, with numerous retail partners, unpaid goods and cancellations are common, making it nearly impossible to trace each case individually. Thus, Mr. Thompson's testimony was a major breakthrough. Denise, you're being let go. And call Kathy here too. She will be disciplined in the same way. The secretary connected to the sales department to summon Kathy, who entered the president's office cheerily, unaware of the reason. Huh? Why is the old lady who quit here in the president's office? Did you come begging for your job back because you can't make ends meet? Ignorance is indeed frightening. Everyone in the room coldly stared at Kathy. The one who should be begging is you. Kathy Brown claimed to be making outside sales visits, using company money for dining, nail salons, hair salons, and even clothing expenses, labeling the receipts as entertainment expenses, and submitting them to the accounting department. Basically, she was embezzling company funds for personal use. I found out about this the day after Kathy claimed to be going to the nail salon but instead showed up at Mr. Thompson's store. Because I was being fired, I went to submit all the receipts I had accumulated to the accounting department. It was then that the accounting department grew suspicious of a nail salon receipt Kathy had submitted and consulted me about it. The accounting department had been suspicious for some time, as receipts from beauty salons, nail salons, and apparel stores kept coming from Kathy, and they had reported it to Denise, who dismissed it with, "Isn't she just working hard on new client acquisition?" That's what happens when you casually mention going to the nail salon at work. It all came out because you didn't actually go to the salon but to a client's place, and the manager loudly announced it. I'm sure the accounting department was surprised to realize the receipt was for a nail salon you hadn't visited. Even after hearing my story, Kathy seemed oblivious to the gravity of the situation. Seeing this, Denise lost her temper and started yelling. "What are you doing? Didn't I tell you not to leave the date blank on the receipts and fill them out yourself? If you hadn't tampered with them, they would have been accepted as is." Oh no. It seems Denise was aware of Kathy's terrible actions. She realized she had admitted this with her own words, and with so much already said, excuses were futile. It's pointless to continue employing such deceitful individuals. I knew right away when that Kathy person came along that she couldn't be trusted. I'll definitely keep that in mind. Dad, it's often the case that such women perform well in interviews. It's hard to see through them at that stage. Under harsh criticism from Mr. Thompson and his son, Denise and Kathy wrote their resignation letters right there. Denise looked like it was the end of the world, and Kathy was still visibly furious, unable to accept the situation. I approached them to thank them for the trouble they had caused. Denise, using easily manipulated team members to boost the department's sales and your bonuses without any real effort is quite cunning, isn't it? I actually worked up a sweat visiting stores on foot, earning my results. Denise couldn't even look me in the eye, just hung her head in shame. I had to say something to Kathy as well. "Look, Kathy, I got my nails done too. There's a client who owns a very popular salon, you know, with a 6-month waiting list. Have you heard of Popular Nails? They even did my nails without an appointment because it's so popular." When I mentioned the salon's name, Kathy screamed and clung to me, begging, "Please introduce them to me. As if I would introduce someone like you. I'd be embarrassed to be thought of as your acquaintance. You're old enough to be learning social skills instead of painting your nails. You're so annoying. That's just a waste of money by a woman who can't even get married." Kathy's parting words were full of envy, but I didn't care. Words from such a finished person no longer affected me. I think Hillary still got it. I could even propose to her if I wanted. "Mr. Thompson, enough with that talk." Mr. Thompson's joke lightened the mood, and the two disgraced employees awkwardly left the president's office. Just before they exited, Denise tried to have the last word. "I'll sue you for defamation. I haven't done anything wrong. It's all that dirty old man's fault. The orders and cancellations were all done because of him. Stop looking down on your clients. It's your personality that's dirty. You think you can get all high and mighty because you're a younger manager?" Furious, I couldn't hold back any longer. But Denise wasn't about to stay quiet either. "Shut up, you old hag. I've always disliked your self-righteous, cutesy act. Always playing the old lady, meddling in everything. I've been waiting for the chance to get rid of a burden like you. Being jealous? How petty." As Denise and I were on the verge of a physical altercation, Kathy started to laugh. Such an ugly fight between old ladies. I quit this company anyway. I'm still young and fresh, so I have the option of getting married. Excuse me for leaving first. Saying you're fresh just shows you're not young anymore, huh? You should stop thinking you're still in the game. You can't compete with those in their 20s. It would be nice if you had any marriage prospects, wouldn't it? Suddenly, Kathy's face stiffened. "Excuse me, Denise. You are welcome to sue, but our company records all negotiations to avoid disputes. If you proceed with a lawsuit, winning might be difficult. You should be more worried about how much you'll owe in damages." Denise, frustrated, retorted. "You should have said there were recordings from the start." As a last resort, she and Kathy left the room looking defeated. Later, as I continued to visit EasyFlow Distribution for negotiations, rumors about Denise and Kathy's fate kept coming in. Both were dismissed for misconduct and faced claims for compensation for illicitly earning money from the company. The amount claimed from Denise was so high that even after applying all her severance pay and savings, it was still not enough. Naturally, reemployment was difficult for them due to their dismissal for fraud, and for Denise, full-time employment was nearly hopeless due to her age. She managed to get a part-time job at a local supermarket, but the circulating rumors made it uncomfortable, and she kept switching between various part-time jobs. Rumors had it that her already troubled marriage had fallen apart, and she had divorced. Reportedly, her husband kicked her out of the house, and now she lives alone in a shabby apartment. Kathy, too, found that her age was a disadvantage in securing a full-time job, and her lack of social skills, which might have been overlooked in a fresh graduate, was unacceptable in her 30s. She caused trouble at every part-time job she managed to get and kept quitting one after another due to conflicts. Kathy's careless management of receipts stirred up rumors that swiftly put an end to her social relationships. Despite her rush to marry, her dating efforts were unsuccessful, and she remained single. As for me, I'm advancing new projects while collaborating with EasyFlow Distribution and Thomson Corporation. I never thought I'd still be able to take on new challenges at my age. Being a company executive, I don't have to worry about retirement and can work indefinitely. I'm very grateful to Mr. Thompson. On a side note, it turned out Mr. Thompson's joke was serious. Having been divorced for 25 years and single ever since, he proposed to me. Since we already spend so much time together like family at work, I'm thinking of happily accepting his proposal. It makes me laugh that at my age, just before retirement, I'm taking on a new executive role and even contemplating marriage. Above all, I'm blessed with fulfilling work and supportive colleagues, making me very happy.